Hey guys, before the video starts, just want to give a quick spoiler warning. I think there might be some very light spoilers in this video, but the show is like 4 years old at this point, so I don't know, it's up to you if you want to take the risk. Disney's, Marvel's, Netflix's, Stan Lee's, John Bernthal's, whatever's The Punisher has always been a strange show to me, in large part due to its mixed reception from fans. I think it is important to preface a video on the Punisher series with the fact that, while a huge superhero fan, I've never read many comics, certainly not Punisher comics. But after trying and failing to understand what people think about this show, I think I've gained some clarity on the subject. It's good. At least, mostly. But today I'm here to talk about one aspect that I think is entirely and uniquely good. The action. In my opinion, modern cinema is heavily bogged down by constant, uninspired action that is extremely poorly thought through. All too often, characters and their enemies' skill levels are scaled up and down purely for the sake of falsifying stakes. I believe The Punisher, a quote-unquote superhero show starring a regular dude, was in a very unique place to prosper or fail in terms of its action. Being a high-intensity, high-action show certainly must have tempted the directors to throw in poorly planned, over-the-top action that messed with the tone of the show. But by far the most important facet of the Punisher's action's success is its commitment to groundedness and believability. Frank Castle does not have superpowers. What he does have is a near-inhuman tactical mind and years of military combat training at the absolute highest level. So logically, those are the skills that must be utilized in creating suspenseful, high-stakes action, because him using those skills that we know him to have is what grounds the action. But how exactly can this be applied to an action scene? Well, we know that lazily throwing in 100 bad guys with machine guns and having Frank beat them all up will not work, because we know that no human would be capable of that. What a human is capable of is preparation and reasonable improvisation. While I honestly believe that just about any fight in the show would demonstrate my point, I would like to break down the arguably largest and most detailed fight scene from Season 1 of the show during Episode 11. The magic begins even before the fight itself. We get a chance to see Frank not only realize that a fight is coming to him, but begin preparations for it, which is a recurring theme throughout the show and excellently demonstrates not only Frank's intelligence and resourcefulness as a character, but also allows larger fights to happen in the first place. If Frank was put into a situation fighting against at least a dozen trained operatives with no equipment and no preparation, the stakes would be removed before the fight even started, because him succeeding in a head-on fight is completely unbelievable. In this instance, we get a chance to glance at what Frank is doing to prepare, which not only establishes character and realism, but offers intrigue to the viewer, which keeps us engaged and thinking about how he might use his traps. As I said, this is a theme repeated throughout the show, notably during Episode 2 of Season 2, when the viewers are fed pieces of his unorthodox plan until they can mostly piece it together. But I'm getting off topic. Back to the fight at hand. Frank begins by ambushing his opponents and using his combat expertise to eliminate them. Because in this short sequence he is only facing off a few enemies and with the element of surprise, the encounter feels believable, but still impressive because we are seeing Frank's intricate planning paying off. We then get to see him use one of his traps to clear a path through an area he would otherwise have no way of getting through, as it is too open and exposed. In the next couple of seconds, multiple important things happen. We see the one agent slip behind cover, which establishes a threat that can pay off later. We see Frank continue to use his combat skills, and then we see him use his reactionary combat skills when he is shot in the back. Yet this is still believable because he is only against one injured enemy. Frank is also injured, which grounds everything even more, because he cannot plan for absolutely everything, and his adaptability in combat is part of his skill set, even if it can be unrealistic when he's over-reliant on it. Frank then pulls out his shotgun, which he had previously stashed. We get another glimpse of the cautious agent to build stakes, and he takes out another agent whose back is turned, leading to a believable kill. Next is one of the most important parts, where a couple of elements come together. Frank messes up and puts himself out in the open to finish off some wounded agents, and he doesn't get away with it. He's punished, no pun intended, by the cautious agent that has been set up throughout the fight and shot multiple times in the back. But even in this specific instance, there is room for failure, and the directors succeed nonetheless. Frank has accounted for the fact that he cannot account for everything, which is a very extravagant way to say he has more than one IQ and wore a bulletproof vest. And if the audience has more than one IQ, they'll know that trained soldiers are told to aim for center mass. We also know that Frank is full of adrenaline at this moment, and given the mitigating circumstances, he can shrug off the attack and adapt. It's only a few seconds of the fight, but I think it demonstrates a lot of the minute details that work together to keep this action actively entertaining for the audience. We then get a silent moment to build tension, and Frank calls out for Bill to make sure we aren't losing the plot in this, to make sure the action has purpose. Now, in a compromised position due to his mistake, Frank decides to use his two trump cards, the explosion and his machine gun, as an opportunity to advance on his opponents. Finally, we get a well-shot hand-to-hand fight with the camera far enough out and the cuts few enough that we can see and understand everything that is going on. All in all, this is just a masterfully done little slice of action that in my opinion is indicative of the Punisher series as a whole. The show may not be perfect in many ways, but I truly believe there's a special lack of specialness in the show's action, in the sense that you don't blink twice at it. It makes sense, and I also believe that a lot of other shows can learn from this attentiveness to the minutiae of a fight scene, and can take better accountability for scaling the fight around their characters' abilities. Guys, The Punisher is freaking great. It's not a perfect show, but I think specifically the action is very engaging and entertaining for the audience. It's sad to see the show leave Netflix, but I think the fact that Disney was brave enough, if you can even call it brave, to move the show to Disney Plus, along with many of their other recent decisions, are good signs for the future of Marvel. Thank you for watching. Have a beautiful life.